it's Rob, and we're doing the news live from Cannes. And I'm so lucky to have Stacy Malone, who's the VP of Business Marketing at Pinterest with us. Stacy, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, this is so great. So great to be in Cannes.
It's gorgeous. It's lucky.
It's gorgeous. We're very lucky. We're very lucky. And we're talking about the news, and we're talking about topics that are related to the industry and things that are important to us and to our clients and members. But what's different in Cannes this year for you?
Well, this is my first time being back at Cannes post-pandemic, so It's just nice to see the energy and like connect with people live again, people I haven't seen in years, so that's been fabulous. But one of the big differences this year I've noticed is through the programming and in conversations, like a real focus on mental health, particularly with young people. And it's such an important conversation because it's all about what's the responsibility that technology companies and advertisers have with some of this mental health crisis that's going on right now. And we actually have a keynote with our CEO, Bill Reddy, and our CMO, Andrea Millard, and Dr. Michael Rich, who's the founder of the Digital Wellness Lab, to actually he's announcing this pledge called the Inspired Internet Pledge. And it's all about getting the industry and advertisers to come together and work through some of the issues that we're facing right now and make it a healthier and safer internet for kids.
I mean, super important as a parent, as a member of the community. It is what our advertisers are asking about. You know, a lot of the B2B stuff is important, right? Stuff that we do within the industry, with each other, with other agencies. But what are we doing for the community? I think it's a lot of things that advertisers want to understand. So it's so important. Specifically, when we go back into industry, brand suitability, brand safety, what do you think is your biggest accomplishment of 2023, and how did you solve some challenges this year that you're excited to share?
I mean, it's such a big topic, and we're doing work on so many different fronts. But one of the things we're most proud of is we actually just changed our community guidelines to add climate misinformation, to prohibit that as part of our misinformation policy. And we're the first ones to do it, both for ad and content. And so Fast Company recognized us for that with one of their innovation awards. But we just think it was provocative and, again, pushing the industry in the right direction. Yeah,
well, that's great. Congratulations. It's important for Pinterest to have a voice because you serve an important part of the ecosystem community of consumers. But speaking about consumers specifically, do you think we're doing enough to understand what they want from us? I think it's nice for us to talk about it, but do we know enough about what consumers are looking for from us?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of time we just assume what they want, right? So what we're really big fans of is actually talking to consumers and doing surveys and reaching out to our pinners and saying, what is it that you want? And what we hear is very consistent. They want inspiring and positive content and environments. And they're very emphatic on that and doesn't change over time. And we love that, right? Because that's what Pinterest is all about. It's about inspiring environment, discovering new things. But it's also good for business. We have research that says 6 out of 10 consumers actually are more likely to remember, to trust, and then buy from brands that show up in positive environments. So it's good for consumers, it's good for people, and it's good for business too.
I mean, it's so important that you have that data, that you're able to tap into your community to learn some things. But do you think there's any general skepticism out there from the consumers about what platforms are doing? And how do you message and share that information outward so that you can overcome any skepticism?
There's definitely skepticism out there for sure. I think it's a two-pronged approach. You actually have to earn the right to say what you want to say. So you actually have to do the work and create the policies and have the technology to help actually make sure that you do have a brand safe environment. And then you can worry about communicating it out and making sure that people understand in an easy to communicate way what you're doing. But you got to do the work first.
Yeah. Data protection, privacy. This year, laws are changing, regulation is changing. It's a very hot topic here in Cannes, but just in the industry in general. Yeah. I know you have some insights that you've been doing some research on and sharing, but please share it with our audience and tell us what you've been learning and thinking about.
Yeah, I mean, we think that that's going to be a key topic. I mean, it's big 2023. It's going to continue to be big in 2024, and particularly as marketers think about how to measure the performance of their advertising, which is so critical in an economy like this. I was just reviewing some Accenture research that said only 8% of marketers, 8%, feel like they understand what the repercussions on their business are, some of the privacy fluctuations that are happening. But on the flip side, almost 75% of them would actually implement new strategies if they felt like they understood what the strategies could be that would help them overcome it and like had some proof that it would work. So we've got this a little bit of confusion, a little bit of uncertainty happening in that space. And with cookies continuing to be deprecated in 2024, that's going to be like, really a challenge for all marketers.
Why do you think it's 8%? I mean, I agree with you, by the way. I think if you were going to ask me, just pick a number of like how many brands are really doing something about data protection changes, I would say 10% or less.
Really?
But why do you?
That struck me as so
just
low.
based on my conversations with people,
Yeah.
like it's unfortunately it's not top of mind. Why do you think that is?
I think it might be top of mind, but it's a complex topic and they don't really understand like what does it mean when some of the things happen, like when cookies go away, because we're kind of half in and half out now. I don't think they can really yet predict what's going to be the impact on their business. But what I think the solution should be is I actually think we need to kind of go back to go forward. So I think things like contextual relevance and I think things like the consumer mindset, which have been like hallmarks of marketing forever, those are going to be like even more important. And that's where, things like Pinterest, which is very has that commercial mindset and has that environment that's really natural, is going to end up, I think, being well suited, well set up.
Do you think it's the time for brands also to be talking about that, about what they're doing for their customers today? Like you talk to brands a lot in your world. What are you hearing about what they're saying to their customers?
Well, it's interesting because a lot of brands are focused on reactivity. Like when there is like some big issue with a platform, they have like a framework, they have a process of what to do to evaluate like whether they stop their media or not. But what we've been talking to them about is like, why be reactive? Why wait until something happens? Why not think about proactively? Like, are the places you're running your media in alignment with your company's values, with your consumers' values, with your employees' values? And if it's not, maybe you need to think about it a little bit more proactively.
Yeah, I agree. And I think we're starting to see some more of it, but obviously looking to companies like yourselves to help them, to help lead. So thank you.
Great.
Yeah, good job. Thanks, everybody. And that's the news live from Cannes. Thank you, Stacy.
Thanks for having me.